Hey, ladies. Oh, let me make sure my ringer's off. Okay, awesome. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Hopefully, you all can hear me and see me okay. And I understood there might be a little confusion as well. As we sent a link out for the Wellness Wednesday tonight, some of you ladies might be a little confused. This is Wellness Wednesday and not the master class, okay? And I'll explain that in a minute. Let's wait till looks like okay. Let's give everybody a chance who wants to join us, and I'll say my disclaimer. So anything that I say tonight during this Wellness Wednesday is not health advice, but is health information. Don't start taking or stop taking or change the way you're taking any of your medications. If you feel like you need to do that, please first consult with your prescribing practitioner so they can help you make those adjustments correctly and safely. And attending this Wellness Wednesday tonight does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. All right. Exciting announcement this week, though. Masterclass is going to be this month, the 20th through the 24th. My Fix Your Thyroid Masterclass, 5 days of information that is vital to getting you on the path toward fixing your thyroid and changing your life. All right. So I'm super excited to share the information that I have to share with you all during those 5 evenings. So we'll go every evening, Monday through Friday, excuse me, for about 90 minutes, starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, same time as Wellness Wednesday, right? But it's different. It's all week long that week. And of course, I won't be doing Wellness Wednesday that week. Okay. All right. So we'll go Monday through Friday and be sure you register. We'll be posting that link in the comments section below in this session. And that way you'll get reminders and updates for the masterclass as we get closer and closer. And I'll tell you, you should probably just put it on your calendar and plan on attending. You might need to make arrangements, right, with family members or friends to, if you have kids that need watching or, dinner to prepare, make sure someone else is able to do the dishes for you or whatever it takes to make sure that you are there so that you can put yourself first, put your health first to get the information that you need to solve the problems that you're dealing with, the fatigue, the brain fog, memory issues, um, depression, anxiety, weight gain, and trouble releasing any of that weight, right? Maybe you're able to release some, but it always comes back. And we're going to talk about why that is and what's going on and what you're going to need to do about it. Ladies, I'm going to share with you why it's not all in your head, why it's not your age, why it's not that you're in menopause, like that's some disease or something. All right, so much information that you'll want to join us for that week. Uh, if you have questions and we'll go live right here in the group, just like we're doing for Wellness Wednesday, right here. Now, if you have any questions or problems or wondering how you're going to watch it or how you register, um, Nikki Roberts is our masterclass concierge, and she can be reached by direct messaging her here on Facebook, or DM her, right? Or she can be texted at the following number 208-842-4466. Hey, I got it right. 208-842-4466. Um, it's a texting only number. Don't call it. Don't leave a message. No one will get that. It's only for texting. Okay. And she can help you with anything you need help with. When it comes time, we will get a workbook link sent out the weekend before. So if you have any questions or issues, let her know. All right. Very good. I think we're ready to roll this evening for our topic, and it's an important topic. Supplements. So many of them out there. What are they? So let's kind of define this. Supplements are nutrients that you take in pill, liquid, powder form, right? Because you're not able to get these nutrients from your food. And some of these are substances that your body is supposed to make, but because it's dealing with other needs, other priorities, it doesn't make them. All right. Things that you really do need to be in optimal health, meaning optimal function, because health is not the, it's not getting sick. That's not what healthy means. Health is not the absence of disease either. I explain that a lot more in the masterclass. But uh, health is functioning. All right. So supplements are what we take in addition to our food in order to, help our body do what it needs to do for itself, actually. What they are not are magic fix-alls. They're not quick fix solutions for your health issues. And I get it. I know we get some, we get anxious about how we can start to feel better. And so this, ladies, this supplement industry, it's a multi-billion dollar industry. And so many want a piece of this pie, right? So many out there. And there's quite a spectrum, right? Really, from junk, complete junk on one end, to highly effective, high quality, clean, pure supplements on the other end of the spectrum. All right. Not all supplements are created equal. Let me repeat that. Not all supplements are created equal. All right. There's a huge discrepancy. And and again, why do we need them? All right. Because food is deficient in nutrients. This all happens because of monocropping, which is a really important thing to recognize. Monocropping, where you grow the same crops over and over again in a field and you deplete the soil, of the nutrients that it may have had, and the food that's grown there is less and less nutritious. All right. We talk a lot about the importance of eating nutrient dense food, and it's getting harder and harder to find that food, even food that's labeled organic. And I'm not knocking organic. I'm just saying, even then, there can be nutrient deficiencies in organic vegetables and fruits. So, because of monocropping, and and so we're learning that, maybe regenerative farming is better. Maybe this will help our food improve in its nutrition, and it should, and it does. But by and large, this is the reason why so many of us lack nutrients. Okay, because of this problem. And what happens when you don't get these nutrients? Well, your functioning starts to suffer, right? And this is what throws us into, well, this is what ends up causing imbalances and then symptoms. And symptoms are your body's way of letting you know that something's wrong inside, something's imbalanced under the surface. And and so really taking supplements is a pillar of health at this point in history. And we need these nutrients to help to maintain our functioning, to optimize our functioning and our health if that is a priority. And ladies, what are we without our health? And I know you all recognize that. That's largely why you are here in this group, because you're searching for answers and you're searching for reasons for why you feel the way you do, and you haven't found answers in the traditional, medical system. or the insurance, dictated system. It's not where you're going to find help. You're going to find medicines and band-aids there, right? Oh, I mean, it's great when there's something acute, when there's something critical, right? I just talked with a lady today who was, had a major accident early in her life, a horseback riding accident, was mangled in several different ways. Her face had to be reconstructed. Her shoulder had to be reconstructed, or part of it. And my goodness, you could hardly tell. I mean, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. To be honest, I could not tell. All right. And so medicine can do truly amazing things. But what it can't do is make us healthy. All right. So our function declines as we get more and more nutrient deficient, especially as we age, right? The longer we go, the more deficient we get in our nutrition, and then our function declines. We get something called, we get muscle wasting, sarcopenia when we age, simply because we're lacking nutrients. So it's so important that we get testing for these imbalances. That we figure out what nutrients we're missing, and supplements also could be, designed to give us functional or physiological building blocks. And so let's kind of categorize these. All right. So we could think of these as vitamins that we need. Vitamins have a specific biochemical structure. All right. And we need these. We need these as cofactors to run many different, so many thousands of different uh, biochemical pathways, in our systems, in our bodies. Then we can have minerals that we need, right? Trace minerals. So you could name off several of these, I'm sure. So we're talking about magnesium and selenium and cobalt and boron, and I mean, so many of these trace minerals that we need to also help with a lot of it's a lot of this is acting behind the um, the electricity we have in our bodies, and so there's several things that we need on the mineral level. All right, what about nutraceuticals or biological compounds? Again, things that our body should make, but it can't because it's stressed, and having to deal with other things. Binders, so detoxing agents, right? These are different kinds of supplements that we know are available. And again, quality is everything. Quality is everything when it comes to these kinds of supplements. There's a big difference between activated charcoal, that's on the end of this, junk side, versus specific carbon-based, binders over here on this other side, this high quality side of the spectrum, right? Which have which can bind specific sized particles. And that's huge. And they're energetic, meaning they don't rely on your body to provide the energy, which you lack, uh, so that you can function so much quicker, right? Okay. Of course, microbial killers, so natural antibiotics, natural antivirals, viral suppressors like L-lysine, um, you know, clove oil, black walnut for parasites, things like this. These are microbial killers, right? These are considered supplements. And then glandulars, right? There are glandular type supplements. Excuse me, supplements derived from um, other animal organs that we can take to help our own organs, corresponding organs. Okay, and I'll get more into this. So once again, there's a huge difference between quality versus junk supplements. And one thing we need to talk about is, the fillers. and the binders, even the glues, preservatives and dyes that so many of these have, saccharides or sugars for taste, right? Or looks, right? They use these to spruce up the pill so they look more inviting to take, and or the gummies, right? They got to make them look good. They got to make these things look good and taste good because, my goodness, people aren't going to want to buy them if they taste nasty. And then as we talk more about these fillers and binders, these glues, most of these are grain based or corn based, maybe even talc based. Can you imagine? Some of these are even talc, like talcum powder in your supplements that you're taking internally. Um, and don't forget that these are a lot of these are derived from cheap GMO produced uh, grains and corn, right? To provide these fillers and these preservatives, right? Like uh, oh gosh, um, I'm blanking, guar gum, sorghum, and things like this, sorghum powder, and um, yeah, there was one I'm blanking on it. Sorry, ladies, but it's like we have to be mindful of these fillers when we're looking at whether a supplement is high quality or is it just junk, right? um, I also want you to be careful about products that are endorsed by the practitioners who created them. There's kind of a little bit of a conflict of interest there. All right. And and I'm sorry, but they're liable to say things about these supplements that frankly aren't quite true, that it just in order to get people to buy them, right? That aren't things that aren't true, things that may be harmful, all right, and just misleading, right? They're just sort of misleading. So I take issue with a lot of these kinds of supplements because you just don't know what the true motivation is. Okay, so I'm suspect, and I know some doctors endorse some supplements that contain crazy things, you know, crazy things that, I mean, not maybe that they don't produce, but they endorse these supplements uh, that are sold over the counter, right? That have somehow gotten earned, or somehow earned these endorsements, and I can't tell you how, other than I suspect, a money trail, right? Um, because I was looking at an eye formula that's a popular eye formula for macular degeneration that's sold in pretty much any grocery store, any pharmacy, and it's full of dyes. I mean, why do you need FD and C red dye? Why do you need blue dye? Why do you need these things? I mean, I do understand in a way, where you want to make it look a little prettier, but there are natural things that can be used for these color, to as color agents. Um, so and I was shocked at the some of the other fillers that were part of this supplement, that were contained in the supplement. Fish oil is another really big one that doctors tend to endorse those a lot. They endorse a lot of different, I mean, a lot of just fish oil, and they don't really say what you should take. They don't have, give you any other guidance. But I'll be honest, you know, fish oil, certainly it can come from any kind of fish, right? And they really try to, to keep things economical. They try to derive this oil from the cheapest fish that they can get on the market. So this is going to be farmed fish. Okay, farmed fish will have a much higher content of toxins because farmed fish basically eat the excrement of fellow fish in the farm, in the pond, in the pool. Um, and they'll, they're not in their appropriate environment, all right, their natural environment. And so they're going to be different quality. All right. This oil from these fish is going to be of a different quality, and it's not healthy. They may be even higher in heavy metals. And certainly once you get these fish oils on the shelves, they're already rancid, right? And that's kind of scary because once they're rancid, now they are considered bad fats. So what doctors are promoting as good fats in these fish oils, they're rancid by the time you put them in your cart to check out. And they turn out to be bad fats and will cause inflammation rather than help with inflammation. There are ways to make these better, these fish oil supplements better. For example, if we can, and they're in triglyceride form, all right? So this should make sense. Triglycerides can be broken down into monoglycerides. And when you do that, you decrease the likelihood, um, you don't completely prevent oxidation, which is what makes these rancid, but you prolong it greatly. And so these have a longer shelf life without going rancid. And that's important. And they're also able to help our bodies better because we don't have to break them down. We don't have to digest them. So they're already partially, broken down, if you will, and they become easier to assimilate as energy sources and as substances that help with inflammation, help repair our cell membranes and reduce the inflammation. Okay. All right. So that's a good example. We also want to keep in mind these supplements differ in how well we absorb them. And so there's a big difference, again, between some of these junk vitamins and these quality vitamins on this side. And so let's talk about like B12, for example. You've probably all heard of cyanocobalamin. Okay, this is the cheapest form of vitamin B12. I'm not going to get into what we need vitamin B12 for, but we need it in almost every cell. Okay, and so if our stomachs are not producing enough what we call intrinsic factor, then we won't absorb the B12 very well. All right, and then it won't reach the liver as well, and then we won't get it activated as well, especially when over half of us have an inability to activate this B12 and folic acid for that matter, B9, all right, vitamin B9. And so when we lack the ability to activate these, I mean, these ending up just stressing our systems, stressing our livers, potentially causing more inflammation. I had a patient tell me the other day that her vitamin B12 levels got so high, she was told then to stop, and she wasn't feeling great. And her doctor, astutely so, told her to stop taking that B12 supplement. And it was, it's a cheap one. And she almost immediately started feeling better. So, ladies, sometimes these don't make us feel very well when we don't absorb them properly. Okay, let's take iron as another example. Many of you have heard of there are different forms of iron. Iron, ferrous sulfate, okay, is one that, is often prescribed by doctors when someone is anemic, iron deficient. And so they take this iron, this ferrous sulfate, and because it's not easily absorbed, then it can end up causing constipation and stomach upset are common side effects of taking this form of iron. And so it can be a different form. if we want to absorb it easier. And that would come in a chelated form. I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, and some supplements, some of these minerals and elements need other things to go with them, just like I was talking about with intrinsic factor and vitamin B12. Iron will absorb better with ascorbic acid from vitamin C. So we often say, well, eat your salads with lemon juice because then you'll better absorb the iron from the kale or the spinach, right? So we need to be as knowledgeable. You need someone who is knowledgeable to help you know what to take with what when you need it to make sure that you're able to absorb these properly. Let's talk about vitamin D. That needs to be better absorbed with the help of, or is better absorbed with the help of vitamin K2. And it serves other purposes as well, important purposes. If you take vitamin D3 alone, uh, then you risk pulling too much calcium out of your bones. You need vitamin K to keep the calcium going back to the bones. And again, you also need it for better absorption of vitamin D. All right. Magnesium is a great example of an element, a trace mineral that we need in every single cell, in every single mitochondria. Does that ring a bell for you, ladies? Mitochondria, those of you who are studiers out there, um, these are the powerhouses of our cells, and they do not work without magnesium. Okay, and so magnesium, there are many different forms that our body utilizes. And so you've heard of magnesium oxide. This is again one that the doctors, it's the cheapest form that doctors promote when they see that you need magnesium because it's cheap and it's, like Medicare will cover it and things like that. Um, and it just isn't well absorbed. So it will often lead to diarrhea, right? It'll pull the water out and lead to this diarrhea. And so we have salt forms, magnesium oxide or magnesium sulfate is a salt form, okay, versus a chelated form, magnesium, glycinate or magnesium arginate or threonate. That's a better one, magnesium threonate. And some of these are better absorbed into different tissues. So some will work better to, say, help you sleep versus to mitigate muscle cramps, right? So, and they're better absorbed when they're in these chelated forms. And it takes more energy to use the salt forms anyway. And what did I say? Most of you lack energy. So why are you stressing your system more by taking these really crappy supplements? Because they're demanding that you have the energy to utilize them. And when you don't, they simply turn into an inflammatory substance that ultimately can make you feel worse. Okay. All right. Now, glandulars. These are really popular now. They're becoming more and more popular. Glandular supplements, like these are derived from animal tissues, um, like bovine or porcine thyroid, for example, or adrenal, bovine adrenal, ovine thyroid. Ovine is from sheep, or liver supplements, pancreas, these are marketed as natural support for the corresponding glands or organs, correct? And they're typically processed into capsules or powders and promoted in alternative medicine for conditions like hypothyroidism or adrenal fatigue or, just for general vitality. And look, glandular supplements like thyroid or adrenal extracts can be super helpful. But if you're not being monitored, things can go sideways and real fast. I had a patient recently tell me about her experience with glandular thyroid. And let me tell you, it was a wake-up call for her. She took way too much, thinking more is better, and ended up in the ER with supraventricular tachycardia. So her heart was pounding at 200 plus beats a minute. Okay? And that's not just uncomfortable, it's scary stuff, right? We're talking about major issues with oxygenation, where you could faint at best or face way worse consequences at worst. Not good, not good at all. Okay. Now, here's the thing, glandulars like desiccated thyroid or adrenal supplements can support your body by providing nutrients, peptides, or even trace hormones, right, to help your glands function better. But oftentimes, when they're producing these, the downside is they remove a lot of the hormone component because, they don't want to be liable. And so you're getting a weak, form if it's not uh, better regulated, like some I'm familiar with. We promote and utilize some that are much better regulated and have what they say they have in them. Okay, because you just can't pop these and hope for the best. That's not, I don't know, it's not responsible. You need a knowledgeable practitioner or coach to guide you, someone who knows what they're doing. And I'm always banging on about getting the right testing done. And here's why. So many people waste so much money on supplements, glandulars, vitamins, whatever, because they're not getting the labs to see what's actually going on. They don't feel better, or they don't realize it can take weeks, sometimes months for these to kick in. So there's a lag time, your thyroid, adrenals, or immune system might need time to catch up. And without comprehensive testing, you're just guessing. So comprehensive testing is how you figure out your specific imbalances, like low iron, magnesium, or whatever else is off. Without it, you're spinning your wheels, maybe even making things worse, like my patient did. Now, when you're dealing with disease, you're already behind the eight ball, right? You're way nutrient deficient. Your liver, thyroid, adrenals, they need the right nutrients in a form your body can use. Glandulars might help, but only if you're doing it right. Otherwise, you're wasting your money, wasting your time, and maybe even your health. Okay. And let's talk about detox for a second. You can't just grab some detox kit online and go to town. That's a recipe for disaster if your detox pathways, your liver, your kidneys, your gut, aren't ready. You could end up sicker with symptoms like nausea or fatigue piling on instead, right? Skin issues. You can end up with breakouts and even worse, just major inflammatory conditions. You can get lung issues, breathing difficulties, because if you if your detox pathways aren't open, your body's going to try to get these out, just down the wrong passages, right? Pathways. So kidneys, skin, lungs, right? These can end up being compromised. You need someone who's got your back, throwing you a rope to climb out of that snake hole of feeling lousy, right? A good practitioner will use test results to build a customized plan targeting your imbalances with the right supplements and protocols. I see it all the time. When you're desperate, you'll try anything. But trial and error, that can be rough. How long do you want to stick with a supplement? All right. How long do you want to put up with feeling bad? Life's too short for this. And those of you who are well into menopause, I think you know what I mean. So get the right tests, find out what's off, make educated, targeted decisions, right? That's how you crawl out of the disease hole and start feeling better with a plan that's tailored to you. Okay. And that's exactly why we don't give supplement advice in this group, right? We discourage it because your care really needs to be customized from the get go and based on real data from comprehensive testing. All right. All right, ladies. I knew there were some questions. I already started to get some of these in. So let's see what we've got. One of them, let's see, is MCT oil okay? And she's asking like 1 teaspoon a day in coffee or added to the salad dressing. How much can we consume daily? Okay. So MCT oil it's short for medium chain triglyceride oil. Okay. So it's still in triglyceride form. It has to be digested. And for some, it's problematic. So I'm not going to tell you that it's good for you, good for everybody, because I don't know if you're sensitive to this or not. I don't know if you're having trouble digesting fat or not. If you lack your gallbladder, you're probably having difficulty digesting fat, and MCT may not be good for you. For many, it is very good, and it does help with, inflammation, and you can utilize it. But um, I really just can't say if it's good for everybody. Can't make that give you that advice. Um, okay. Our local compounding pharmacy carries a lot of supplements. Are these supplements more likely to be good ones? I don't know what brands they're carrying. um, it's possible that they're better. You should just ask. Just ask them what they believe the quality is. Look at the ingredients. Look for fillers. Someone a pharmacy that's a compounding pharmacy is generally better at letting you know if the supplements have problematic fillers and dyes and preservatives and things like that in the supplements. Let's see. Even Nordic Naturals are farm raised. Not necessarily. No, a lot of them will say that they are wild caught, fish derived, but still they're in triglyceride form. They have to be broken down and they are more easily oxidized, meaning they'll go rancid pretty quick still. Sometimes the way they're processed can lend to a longer half-life. Some will even say, well, keep them refrigerated. That'll help. Not necessarily. Okay. But sometimes that does. Flaxseed oil definitely needs to be refrigerated, but it doesn't last long. You've got to go through that bottle real quick. Don't let it sit. Okay. What brands should we avoid? What brands are good? Ladies, there are so many brands out there. I don't have all of them memorized. Okay. But there certainly are, and I let's say this. If you can get them at any, through like your discount stores, right? Your low cost stores, I would steer clear of them. Let's leave it at that. All right. You're not going to find quality brands in those types of stores. Okay. So I'll leave that to you to decipher. Okay. Um, and good brands are promoted typically by, uh, well, to be frank, practitioners like myself, because we've studied this. They're, doctor prescribed, but not every doctor, like I said, promotes the right ones. So naturopaths would probably be your better, doctors to be more knowledgeable about this. But frankly, so many of these natural doctors still just promote supplements as band-aids. And they really shouldn't be that way. They should not be promoted this way. In fact, I don't sell supplements to the public. Okay. I don't do that because I think it's irresponsible. I think you need to have the right information and the right data to support you taking the right supplements. And it's because of what I've seen in my many years of experience treating people for these health conditions, these chronic health conditions. And what I have found is people do much better when we have the right information and they get the right targeted supplements. Holding off on ordering more doTERRA vitamins till my consult. They aren't cheap, but are they doing what they should? All I'm going to say is that they pack a lot of things into those. They make them multi supplements. Okay. And I can't condone that because so many, and they contain essential oils, and you don't know if you need those. Essential oils act more like pharmaceuticals, ladies. They act more like medicine. They're more powerful than typical supplements. And so I don't know if you need them or not. I can't tell you to hold off, but I mean to take them. But in light of what I do know, I would err on the side of caution and say, yeah, hold off. Okay. And yes, D3, that's the next question. Is D3 better absorbed with K? D3 is better absorbed with K2. Um, and what brands do I recommend then? So again, I don't want to mislead you by giving you the brands that I recommend. I do use certain lines because they are higher quality. So Apex and Cellcore and Biotics Research and Biogenetics. But I want to be clear. You're just guessing if you don't have the right information about what you need. Comprehensive testing is exactly what you need to have in order to know what your imbalances and deficiencies are. All right. Let's see. I take magnesium glycinate at night for sleep, but should we take it in the morning or throughout the day instead of 450 milligrams at night? Can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know what your health situation is. And I'm sorry to sidestep your question. Um, but typically, the right form of magnesium is needed to help you sleep versus another form that might be needed for muscle cramps or it might be needed for, to help you go to the bathroom. All right. And it's it's often helpful to take the right form at night to help you sleep. Otherwise, it can make you drowsy during the day. So, in that sense, just in general, that is typically better. So I'll leave it at that. In our consult with Dr. Redd, will Dr. Redd share the name of reputable supplement companies to order the determined needed supplements? Well, let's say this. In your consultation, if I think you're a good fit and can be accepted as a patient, and you move forward into care, we will provide the supplements for you so you don't have to find them on your own. That is really important. And that's for several reasons. Not going to get into all of them now, but think about this. Um, you need to think about making so many other changes if you're accepted as a patient that that's definitely a stress you don't want to have to deal with. And your clinical team will know how to help you, all right, with these supplements. If you're already taking supplements while you get your testing done, will that skew your results? Um, maybe a little, but again, it depends on the quality that you're taking and more than anything, it may show that you're more inflamed. I don't know. I typically just say, do what you're doing. Let's see where you're at as you're doing what you're doing. Get the testing done, put those in your paperwork. You'll be asked for these supplements, to be listed in your paperwork. And then we take that all into account when we're putting it together for you. All right. That's the easiest way to tell you to do it. Um, just keep doing what you're doing. And unless I've told you, okay, try to eat the right foods, right? Try to eliminate some, the foods that you need to eliminate, because you'll see if you're heading in the right track, on the right track with that. So I would just continue doing what you're doing, get the tests, and make note of what you're taking. Are there adverse effects when you take B12, when your B12 is 1250? Well, that is pretty high, kind of high. I've seen it much higher. And there can be adverse effects. You certainly could have fatigue, could be inflamed more. Yes. The difference, tell us what the difference is between MCT, SCT, and coconut oil. Well, pure coconut oil is just straight triglycerides, just fat, right? And MCT, and so the full chain is the triglyceride, the full fatty acid chains. If you have MCT oil, that means medium chains. That means those chains aren't as long, right? That's all that means, medium chain. Short chain triglyceride oil is actually, that has actually gone through a 10-step extraction process. So where it is fully digested, in other words, fully extracted as ketones, as beta hydroxybutyrate. Butyrate, actually, it's butyrate, not hydroxy, but it's butyrate. And so it's a pure fatty acid, an essential fatty acid at that point. And so it's that's the difference between those. And it's derived, SCT oil is derived from uh, uh, grass-fed butter, cow butter, okay? How would I decrease calcium deposits on my aorta? What I have recommended for many with these types of problems is a natural fibrinolytic, okay? Um, one of these is called nattokinase, all right? And it's pretty darn safe. And again, look for the fillers and things in the supplement, but um, that can be taken. However, word of caution, it can thin the blood some. And if you're already on blood thinners, then you should probably wait to have a consultation and see if that's good for you. And and I want to be clear, I don't use my own brand. I don't sell my own brand of supplements. Again, I frown upon that. It's just, I don't know. There's just something that rubs me wrong about that, and for the reasons I've explained earlier. Okay, very good. Now, ladies, I think that's the end of the questions. I'm super excited for the masterclass. I will be talking to you guys during that week about the testing that you need to get. That's a really important part of the blueprint that has helped thousands of women and other patients to reach their health goals and fix their thyroid and get their lives back. Um, Getting the right testing, the comprehensive testing, and I'll go through it. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. I'll show you even how I analyze it and how I go through it and how I put all the pieces of the puzzle together to know what is going on with you. All right. And so I'm really excited to share this life-changing information with you. And it will blow your mind. It's going to be so valuable. And those of you who have been to master classes, you can put in the comments tonight how helpful it has been, what you've learned, because it is the information that really can make a difference and turn the corner. Okay. Uh, and so it use the link to register, plan on attending, um, put it on your calendars, put an alarm on your phone when it comes time for the sessions. Make sure you've got help with the things that you need help with to allow you to spend the time on yourself, right? During that week, that every evening that week. I am getting a couple of other questions. I can, let's see, do you use full script for supplements? Yes and no. While you're, you know, people that are doing their customized care plan, we don't use full script for them because we're sending you the supplements you need, right? When you go, maybe you stay on in aftercare as after being a patient or after going through your plan, your program, then yeah, we help you get the right supplements through full script and through some other vendors, okay, that you will need. Okay. Um, I talked about the fillers. Let's see. I have MS and know it's common to have more than one autoimmune disease. I'm already on D3, B12, and meds for fatigue, but I have never been able to lose weight. Well, I'm going to talk a lot about that during the masterclass. That is a huge topic that I'm going to address in detail during the masterclass. You don't want to miss this. all right? Because it's not just about what you're taking or not taking. It's not just about what you're eating or not eating. It's, there's so much other information that you'll need to to get the answer to that question. Okay. I'm wondering if I should do something to absorb the B and D better. I also have concerns about gluten. Well, yeah, we should all have concerns about gluten. Um, and if you do have a gluten sensitivity and could be prone to developing celiac, that's of course going to decrease your ability to absorb anything, absorb any nutrients. The building blocks, the amino acids, the fatty acids from, you know, if you're taking collagen for things like this. I mean, seriously, ladies, it's a big deal. Gluten's a big deal, and I spent some time in the master class talking about that. Absorbing, like I said, different B's better. They need to be activated. They need to be, D needs to be with vitamin K2, as we've stated before. So good questions. You ladies always have great questions, and we'll be doing a Q&A as part of the master class as well. At the end, we'll be doing that. It's always such a popular session, and we answer so many of your questions that you think of during the master class. So, like I said, get ready to attend. I'm looking so forward to it. Ladies, thanks for joining me tonight for Wellness Wednesday. We've gone long, sorry, but I think it's been valuable information, and I'm glad to be able to be here with you. And remember, have hope. There are answers, and you still have the power to heal. So take care, everyone, and have a great evening.